I've started to hear rumours, or reports, I should say, of another virus breaking out, this one called Marburg virus in Equatorial New Guinea. And it does seem to be a rather nasty virus. Now, I'm not making any kind of announcement or saying that anything is happening or likely to spread across the world. I'm not suggesting that for a moment. But I thought I'd come up into the studio here just to have a look a little bit about it and share with you what is officially online, just so that people are informed, because I want to ask you a question at the end of it. So here is what we can see. This is on the Barron's website.com. Equatorial Guinea says 9 dead in Marburg virus outbreak. This was as of yesterday, February the 13th of 2023. And it says 9 dead in Equatorial Guinea, not New Guinea, beg your pardon, from an outbreak of the Marburg virus, which causes a hemorrhage fever nearly as deadly as Ebola, the health minister said on Monday, announcing that a province had been placed in quarantine. And then it goes on. And if we go now to the World Health Organization's own website, it says here about the Marburg virus. It says it's a highly virulent disease, causes hemorrhagic fever with a fatality ratio of up to 88%. It's in the same family as the virus that causes the Ebola virus disease. 2 large outbreaks that occurred simultaneously in Marburg and Frankfurt in Germany and in Belgrade in Serbia in 1967 led to the initial recognition of the disease. So there it is. It is something, and it's broken out. These things do break out, not those specific things, but all sorts of diseases do break out, and they have disastrous effects if they're quite severe, as you can imagine, for those people it's involved. But my question really is, having gone through a pandemic, any time you see something like this, it is a little worrying. Of course, in the past, possibly these outbreaks have happened, people have been put into quarantine, they've dealt with it, or it's burnt itself out. And in the long distance past, before the ability to travel by aeroplane in particular, these things would not have reached the rest of the world. But we saw in recent times, of course, the pandemic that we've all gone through, and that did spread around rapidly. It was an airborne virus, of course. This is, I think, somewhat different. I don't know how it's transmitted to person, and I'm sure if it does grow into something rather more dangerous, we'll all be knowing about it. Everyone will be online looking it up. Well, we hope that it manages to stay, of course, in that quarantined area, and we hope that nobody else suffers or dies as a result of it, and that it can be fixed. Now, I saw on Twitter that there is an experimental vaccine that is going to be used to help those poor people who may well be suffering, which is, I guess, a laudable thing if you're rushing something out that you hope it will help. It's been around for a while, so it must be known about in terms of the sort of area of vaccination that you can do, or if there are other products already in existence that will help. My question then in today's monologue is really, if this thing, I'm not saying it is, but if anything happens now to begin to escape and travel around the world, what would be your feeling? Would you have trust in the medical profession? I don't know quite how much trust I have in both the medical profession and indeed the government. And the reason I say that is we've had these harms that have clearly been defined, and people are suffering. And in my little YouTube channel here, people have been contacting me all the time. And yet it does seem that our very lovely, benevolent and kind government, it seems to be ignoring them or not investigating or debating this, which does just seem incredible in a modern world in which trust, of course, is everything. The mainstream media seem to have blacked out all coverage of those people who seem to have been harmed by the last or the current vaccines, if you like, which again just seems very short-sighted, because I'm sure people are confused and worried and perhaps think the wrong things about the vaccine or any potential vaccine that we might need. So if we had another outbreak of something else that was equally dangerous or even more so, it makes you wonder if people would readily accept the remedy for that, or whether they would rather try and sit it out. It also begs the question, what will the government do in terms of shutting down anybody coming from the certain countries that might be affected? We did see a bit of a lax response the last time. People were allowed to come and go, and yet as a result of that we shut the whole country down, which seemed a bit overkill if the government itself was just allowing all ports of entry for anybody who wants to come in. And we know that we have those poor washed up migrants who have no home to go to and are fleeing from all sorts of tyranny, setting off on the rubber boats in France. We know that those poor souls, all of the men, well, mostly men of sort of good fighting age, I suppose, that sort of age group, seem to be managing to escape. I suppose that's the best age to be if you've got to go across on a rubber dinghy, but they seem to come across completely unchecked, as if it doesn't really matter if they're carrying any disease or anything, from what I understand. I may be wrong, of course, so I'm not saying that this is an actual fact. But let's hope that if there is anything else a little bit more stringent spreading, that the governments will do something about it. The people in charge will do everything to reassure us that they've got everything under control. Because I don't know about you, but I'm just a little bit shaky on the old trust levels at the moment. And I'd rather not be shaky. I'd rather feel that in this wonderful civilized world of modern medicine and modern technology and clear thinking and absolutely no problem with our benevolent governments and our upstanding medical profession, that everything would be done in our best interest. And of course, it goes without saying that I have every faith in them doing just that. Anyway, thank you for watching, and hopefully I shall be coming back to you with some more interviews and more bits and pieces throughout the week. Until then, thanks for watching. Goodbye.